When night has fallen, when fear is coming, still you're calling me. When faith is lost and my hope exhausted, you will be my strength. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. Yeah, I've decided I'm not giving up, 'cause you won't give up on me. No, you won't give up on me. Your love is so non, it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is so non, it won't let go. Feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul. In every season, you keep repeating promises to me. Whoa, now there's no stopping what you have started until it is complete. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. And I've decided I'm not giving up, 'cause you won't give up on me. No, you won't give up on me. Your love is so non, it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is so non, it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul. In my when my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. Yeah, I've decided I'm not giving up. No, you won't give up on me. No, you won't give up on me. Your love is so numb, it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is so numb, it won't let go. I feel it breaking out, breaking out. Your love is so numb, it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is so numb, and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul. In my
Step out of the shadows, step out of the grave, break into the wild, and don't be afraid. Run into wide open spaces, graces waiting for you. Dance like the weight has been lifted, graces waiting. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom, there is freedom. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom, there is freedom. Come out of the dark, just as you are, into the fullness of His love. For the Spirit is here, let there be freedom. will fall, prison shake at the sound of Jesus' name. Lives made whole, hearts awake at the sound of Jesus' name. Chains will fall, prison shake at the sound of Jesus' name. Lives made whole, hearts awake at the sound of Jesus' name. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom, there is freedom. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom, there is freedom. Come out of the dark, just as you are, into the fullness of His love. For the Spirit is here, let there be freedom. Let there be freedom.
Good morning, welcome. I'm so excited about our second part of our story series. This morning, I want to introduce you to Katie Jenkins. She's an amazing young woman that's been attending Renew Church for some time now with an incredible story. So I hope you sit back and will enjoy this.
I'll start from when I was a kid. Growing up, I'd say from up until I was about 10, my grandma would always say, come to church with me, come to church with me. And I felt like I was trying to be force-fed to it. And that's whenever I did notice at that young age that I had this problem with being a rebel. I didn't want to do anything that everybody else was doing. I wanted to go find my own will and do it. So I knew about Christ. I knew about God. And to be honest, at a young age, I didn't even know I knew the two terms, but I didn't even know the difference between Jesus and God up until a couple years ago. So growing up, I can say I went to church a few times here and there. My sisters would go to Sunday and Wednesday, and I would just tag along to go run off with the boys and smoke and drink and do everything I wasn't supposed to be doing as a teenager. I fell into, now today as an adult, I can see the addictive behaviors that I had. I can see where the devil was working in my life and how he was trying to succeed to make me as effective in his will and not God's. For example, I wouldn't participate in school. I wouldn't pay attention when I was in church. I was hateful and mean and stuff like that. And that's just, that's ways he used me against what I'm really meant to be for on this earth. So in school, I was expelled, suspended, fighting, and I was unruly basically. I wouldn't listen. And so I was in and out. I would bounce back and forth from my mom and my dad. I would manipulate them so I could get my way, and once I would get sick of it, I'd go back to my mom. I'd go to my dad, and bounce back and forth. So I lived all over, and living all over, I've met a variety of people, and I didn't just stick with the ones who was doing all their schoolwork or in sports or anything. I stuck with the ones that was out late at night, that was running from their parents and doing all the things that shouldn't have been done. That's where I put my life into, and they say birds of a feather flock together. And you can watch the crowd that you hang out with, because that's who you will become. So that's pretty much what it started with me. At a young age, I started using drugs, any drug I could get my hand on. I'm not going to go into that, but I can just say I've been down that road with the drugs. I left my parents at 18 years old. I had the choice to either get up, make something out of myself, get a job, get my driver's license and just be a functioning adult, or get out and go be on drugs. And, you know, as a drug addict, that's what I chose, was to be on the drugs. So at the age of 18, I learned to bounce around, and I learned how to live anywhere and get anything I wanted through manipulation. I never really believed in a higher power, like, as I got older, because I felt like what people said was God, he was never there for me, which was completely false. He had always been there for me, because if God wasn't there for me, I wouldn't even be alive today through all this stuff, the crazy things I put myself in front of. So through my active addiction, I continued to run from the person I was meant to be. I'd use drugs to cover up my feelings, to hide my feelings. I would use alcohol. I would use sex. I would use manipulation. And that hindered my ability to be the person I'm meant to be today. And that's like a big thing that I've learned since I've started to grow in Christ and become a little bit more intimate with God, is who I was trying to be. I always was trying to be a chameleon. Like, I was always trying to fit in everywhere I could go to get what I needed out of the group of people I was in. So what I'm saying is like, me trying to fit in everywhere hid me from who I really was. And as I've grown, I've been able to see who I really am, and it's who God calls me to be. My worth is in him only. But I'm not gonna get sidetracked. So as a little bit after I turned 18, I got really heavy into the drugs, selling drugs, using them and everything, in every way, shape, and form you could think of. I went to jail numerous times, and as growing up, I went to JDC numerous times, and that's why I didn't even get to really complete high school. I dropped out of high school to go use drugs. So that affected me. I couldn't get a job, and then I would use that excuse in my head, well, I can't make a name for me, I cannot a name, I can't make money for myself, so what am I supposed to do besides sell drugs? And that's what I leaned on whenever I was in my early 20s, late teens, early 20s. I had done a lot of things and seen a lot of things that I used as a crutch to keep on with the lifestyle that I was in. I would always say I would never change. I always ended up in some person's news feed doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing, proving that I would never, to what they would say, would never do anything right. So that really affected me mentally, and at an early age I was diagnosed with mental problems, and I used that as a crutch also to keep using drugs. So when I was in my early 20s, I had been on drugs for probably since I was 16. I was 21 when this happened, 21 or 22. I committed a crime. I stole a car, and long story short, I went to prison for it. And I'd been on drugs. I was sick of it. I remember saying, before that even happened, before I got in trouble that day, literally, I'm just sick of this. I want some type of change in my life. I can't deal with this anymore. I don't remember, honestly, who I was talking to, if I was talking to myself, if I was talking to a God, but I just know, I remember saying, I'm sick of this life. The hurt, the pain, the shame, the guilt, the anger that I had built up for so long. That carried with me for a long time. Well, I went to prison. I was incarcerated, and I received a 2-year sentence. During that incarceration, at the first, I used drugs when I was in there. I had no will to change. I told people, I'm just gonna get back out and I'm gonna do the same thing over again. This is my lifestyle. I'm okay with it. No. God really started to work on me, and I didn't know it at the time. I started surrounding myself with people who was involved in church while we was incarcerated, who was doing programs, recovery programs, the 12 steps, and then I started to see the happiness in their eyes. I started to see the joy, there's a difference between happiness and joy, and they had genuine joy, and I wanted that. Nothing more than anything, is I just wanted to be happy and be okay with myself. Well, during my incarceration, I found Christ, and Christ saved me right where I was at. I remember it was in a gymnasium, and a band called Ragtag, I hope I ever hear them again, they was in there playing, and it was just the most beautiful thing. I remember crying and breaking down, And that's when I was saved in there crying, just like, Lord, I'm done with this just coming to me. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. At that point, I felt different. And I only wanted to be around them people that I seen with that happiness. And today I can see what that is. That was Christ in them. Like that was their godly characteristics that Christ has shown them. Like this is the happiness and the love I want you to display, is to bring others to me. And that's what happened, Them 2 years went by pretty fast because I stuck around them people and I did the right thing. I got my GED when I was incarcerated. I also took a 5-week course in web design in there, and I loved it, And with that, I was going to church here and there, and that's when I started getting familiar with the program of NA. And a few other programs. And in there I also I learned how to set some boundaries between myself, like self-talk, how I talk to other people, how I allow people to talk to me, like the situations I allow myself to be put in. And I learned that, like, morals and virtues, personal, like, and spiritual principles. I started to understand what those were, and those are still coming to me, I can say that much. But since my release, I have fallen head over heels with church and with getting in to Christ and learning more about it. I love Renewed Church. This is my favorite church. So since I've been out, when I was charged and indicted with my fleeing and eluding, my failure to comply charge, they gave me a 4-year license suspension. Well, I got out and I had thousands of dollars worth of restitutions, court fines, and costs to various counties. I jumped right in. I got a job. I kept going to meetings like NA and AA and Celebrate Recovery. Them became huge blessings in my life, and I seen how God was working in my life through them too. There was people that I would hear that would speak in them, and they'd say something, and it hit deep in me. It offended me at first, only because it was something that I needed to hear. And that's how I see God working in my life today. And I also see where He will have these repetitive themes where someone will talk about something, I'll read about something, I'll hear it on the radio, and it all correlates with each other. And it's God telling me, hey, you need to be listening to this. This is what I'm trying to tell you. And I'm very grateful for that. I have to remain very open-minded to the ways God is trying to teach me to be. Because I've had this pattern built up. I've had this pattern built up my whole life, these habits built up my whole life that I have to unlearn. And it's been a while, but God's just bringing me through it. But that's what God's done for me up until then. But since I've been out, I have also I've kept a steady job. I now have paid off everything that I owed any court or anything. I have been able to get a car, an apartment, and I have had the opportunity to also go on to missions into Kentucky, into the jail, and speak to the people in there who are being incarcerated, and just share to them my story of what had happened to me before, during, and after, kind of like some I'm doing now, and give them some experience, strength, and hope. I've had that pleasure, that blessing, because it wasn't only just for their benefit, it helped me in so many ways. And like, without God, I would have never been able to do any of this. I also have been able to go into the Highland County Jail and speak in there to the ladies about Celebrate Recovery. That's amazing to be able to do. I've met a lot of good people in there. People that are just lost, the devil trying to use them and manipulate them to his works, but God prevails. He doesn't. I've had many blessings, and I'd just like to say, if God is for us, who can be against us? I hope someone could get something out of this, and I hope I can reach out to someone. If you ever are struggling, you pick up the phone. Do not be ashamed, scared, or anything, because it's always that first step that gets you towards God and towards a healing in some type of way. That's what I had to do. Thank you for letting me share this with you. Bye.
I cast my mind to Calvary, where Jesus bled and died for me. I see his wounds, his hands, his feet, my Savior on that cursed tree. His body bound